Hi, I'm out here in the New Mexico desert, and I am near some civilizations. You can see by the power lines, but I had to come out a ways to get away from anything sensitive you're not allowed to see. So let's try to get this lined up. Alrighty. Why you need to garden now more than ever. Imagine you're being chased by zombies and you're starving to death. The last second you come to a walled town and the people let you in. They're happy, healthy, and well fed. Now, walls and scavenging skills are all well and good, but what really let them survive this long was the food they grew for themselves. Now, there may not be zombies in our future, but what if the world falls apart otherwise? Would you be able to survive once the existing food runs out? With the global pandemic we're all going through, it is evident that the life of luxury we have all lived due to our seamless supply chain is not infallible. In addition to shortages, costs are up, quality is down, and the environment is suffering more than ever. That is why you should garden now more than ever. Our food supply is not as stable as you might think. All over the world, food is grown in cycles through alternating seasons in order to supply a full variety to wealthy societies with a demand that cannot continue indefinitely. The demand for more food at a stable cost has made the supply chain fragile. Do you know where your food comes from and why we have tomatoes year-round when they only grow in the summer? We enjoy fruits and vegetables of an astounding variety year-round, all due to a worldwide supply chain. What happens when a global event like a pandemic that threatens that supply chain universally? When travel between countries is limited, migrant workers have difficulty reaching fields to pick vegetables, and meat processing plants closed down in many areas as well. Farmers had to slaughter their livestock that they could not get to market nor feed. Our current food network is not sustainable long term. Also, bees are disappearing at an increasing rate due to pesticides targeted against other insects. And if we ban those pesticides to save the bees, the trade-off is still a loss of production for whichever crop is using them. And in addition, the energy required to transport food across the planet is increasing in cost as it decreases in supply. On top of all that, global warming itself adds to the difficulty to produce enough food and an out-of-control population. In order to keep up with the global demand in variety and volume, the quality of our food had decreased in favor of quantity. Genetically modified organisms that had been engineered to be larger, more visually appealing, pest, disease, temperature, and drought resistant have left something to be desired, namely in taste, nutrition, and safety. Pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers add to the contamination not only of our bodies, but to the environment as well. Think about those restaurants that had to close down due to the pandemic. Now think of all that wasted food prepared and packaged in a way that could not be redirected into a grocery store. It's like the toilet paper crisis. All the demand is now on half of the supply. While the supply chain has stabilized, costs still have yet to come down to where they were at the start. The burden on families, country, and all of humanity is only increasing. And one of the largest examples of environmental impact I can think of is the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. As a result of chemical runoff from farms, pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers wash off of fields into creeks and then into rivers and then onto the ocean. According to the NOAA, an area the size of Massachusetts of low to no oxygen that can kill marine life is not shrinking despite efforts to limit chemical runoff and their toxicity. That is just what is entering our environment. Now think what must remain on or in fruits and vegetables that are brought into grocery stores for us to consume. An article in Scientific American in 2019 went into depth about the sad state of quality of our food as a result of the race to supply an ever-expanding population without thought to flavor or nutrition. In an effort to meet demand, we have selected our food for qualities of resilience that left them bland, unpleasant to consume, and in many cases unsafe. Researchers recently have discovered a link between glyphosate and Roundup that may cause cancer. At the same time, as chemical testing survey of common foods like Cheerios has found Roundup to indeed have ended up in our final product. We are literally eating poison. Now you may be thinking, I don't have a yard. I can't garden. Everything I've ever tried to grow has died. I used to be in the same boat until I realized YouTube can teach anything. I learned how to start seeds, grow them in recycled bottles with reclaimed water. I also learned when and how to plant and take care of my personal crop. I learned how to harvest seeds and preserve food for next year. Now, I know that the only person that has touched the tomato I ate today was me, and it has never been sprayed with anything poisonous. Not only am I eating delicious food, but also developing a sustainable resource that continues for years to feed me, that will continue for years to feed me and my family, and reduce my impact on society and the environment. Even if all you have is a few square feet of ground, you can at least give it a try. The bottom line, in my opinion, is this. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. There's no excuse to remain ignorant of the impact that convenience eating is having on the economy, your health, and the planet. If prices continue increasing, the quality decreasing, and even our ability to produce lessens more and more due to the out-of-control environmental impact, you will be made aware of this crisis, if you aren't already. And believe me, you'd rather find out about it from me than have your choices severely limited and it becomes a necessity to grow a garden. The good news is we have a large variety of heirloom vegetables that you can get started today. My gardening started with a sprouting seed inside a tomato I didn't have the heart to throw away. And watching it grow pushed me over the edge to go full out on gardening. What is it going to take to get you to go over the edge, to realize why you should start gardening now more than ever? Do you really want to wait until we are living in the apocalypse to realize growing your own food is the best way to sustain civilization? Or will you give it a try today? Thank you. All right. Hoping that 45 seconds is the intro showing my locale. Sayonara. So long. Flies are bugging me.